Alright guys, so let's move on to our final lesson in this course, and this will be our lesson in which we'll be implementing the WordPress loop itself. Well, explaining this in detail, it can be very challenging because we'll be using a WordPress class called WP Query, and if you look at the documentation for this class, this one here, you see that it is used to build a WordPress loop, and it can be used with a lot of use cases. For example, you can use it to bring information about author, categories, tags, taxonomies, and you can order your posts in a different way. There are a bunch of scenarios and use cases, and if you need to explain that in detail, you really need a brand new course. So we'll be doing only with some of the arguments of this very rich and powerful class. So let's recap what we're gonna do here in this lesson. So we have this list of works. We have here 8 different items for this work div, and we'll be using only one of them, and it will be repeating itself 8 times in order for us to complete that area. In each of the repetition, we'll be bringing a different image, a different post title, and a different category. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna get rid of most of this code here. So starting here from this line 135 and going up to line, let's see, 73. We remove all of this and just separate here this div a little. So this is the element that will be repeating all the time, all right? So starting here, we'll be passing a PHP, and then let's create a variable called work. In fact, this is an object of a class, but don't worry if you don't understand what an object is inside the class, all right? I think you'll understand all of this at the end. So this will be an object of a new class called WP Query. So this will be actually a new instance of this class. And in order for us to tell WordPress what we want inside this variable, this object, we'll be passing a list of arguments inside an array. Let's call this array args. And let's pass some of the arguments of this WP Query class. Some of those included in that documentation. So the ones that interest us here is posts per page. By default, WordPress loads 10 posts at a time, but we want something different because we want only 8 posts per page in our list, actually. And another argument we'll be passing here is called category __ in. So you see that there are 2 underscores, right? And we'll be passing an array of categories here. So my categories are 3, 4, 5, and 6, but yours may be different, all right? So go ahead and grab your categories, the ones that I think you've written down, and place them here, all right? Now we're gonna pass these argument lists to this WP Query class, and this will be used to kind of filter out what we'll be receiving through this class and assign it to this work variable here. So this work here will contain a list of posts, 8 in total, coming from these categories here. Next, let's see if it actually has some posts inside this work variable. We'll be doing this using an if block. So if work have posts, what we're gonna do if this work variable has some posts inside it. First, let's end this if block here. Otherwise, we can run into some problems. We can, for example, if there are no posts inside this work variable, we can tackle an else here and say, for example, using an echo, no posts to display. But otherwise, if we do have posts, we can start the actual loop here at this point. This is a while loop in WordPress, and it will be looping itself, looping through all of the results while there are posts to be displayed coming from the database. It will start here and end right here with this and while. Don't forget to add it, all right? Here inside the parentheses of this while block, I'll be passing this same structure here. So while work have posts. So as long as we have posts coming from the database, it can be, for example, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, depending on how many posts the WordPress system finds in the database. So while work have posts, we'll be actually displaying the posts here using work again and calling a function called the post. And here exactly at this point, the loop will take place. And in order for us to actually display the post, we'll be using this structure here. One of the easiest way for us to display HTML inside PHP is just end the PHP flow here, and then start it once again here. And then here inside, we just add our HTML like so. All right. So this is the chunk of code that will be repeating itself all the time, actually 8 times in our case. So what do you want inside each loop? We first want an image. In this case, we only want the URL of each image inside the href and source attributes of those elements. So first here, we'll be removing this, call PHP, and then use a WordPress function called the post thumbnail URL. It's the same for the source attribute here, the image tag, right? And what more, we want a different post type for each repetition. In order for us to call the post titles, we use a WordPress function called the title. Very simple. And then for the category, it's a little bit trickier because I have it ready here. I'll just copy and paste here and explain to you guys what's going on. So inside this loop here, this bigger loop, we have another loop, this time a for each loop. And what it does is it uses this get category function that retrieves all of the post categories and store it in a variable called category, and then display only the category name using the echo here. So it's more or less how it works. Let's save this and move to the front end. And now reload this page. And now we got our list of posts. Amazing. So if we click here, for example, we can see the lightbox for each post, for each element of this work area. And if your client wants, he can, of course, add other items to this list and update these items here, choose another image. All right. What more? So before we forget, every time you use a custom loop in WordPress, you have to end it with a function called WP reset post data. Because actually this custom loop is doing some deep modifications in the way that the default query in WordPress works. So by using this WP reset post data, we are restoring the way the WordPress loop itself, the default loop works. So it's more or less like this. Save this. And what more? We don't have the logo yet, but it's very easy for us to implement it. We just need to add one more support in WordPress called custom loop. So let's go ahead and open up our functions file and once again add one more support. This time it's called custom logo. When you do this, if we open up and once again our dashboard, you see that under appearance, customize, we have this site identity section, And here inside we have the logo selection button. So we can choose another logo here, a new logo actually, upload it to the system. Select it, we don't want to crop it, publish, and then we'll be telling WordPress where exactly that custom logo will be displayed. So it's here inside this, in place of this anchor tag. Let's call a function called the custom logo. It's that simple. Save this and go ahead and go back to the front end, reload this, and now we got our logo here. Alright guys, so we have our theme ready, everything is in place. We finally managed to translate, translate our original template, HTML template, into a functional WordPress theme, a minimal viable WordPress theme. Everything is working, and if we, for example, inspect this page and look at the responsive design, you see that it's actually working too. The menu is working, so everything here is falling down to place. Beautiful, beautiful. So I hope you have enjoyed this course. Now you have in your hands much of the knowledge you need to do the same with your projects or with the ones of your client. If, for example, they have a Node HTML site, you can go ahead and then transform it into WordPress using the techniques I just showed you in this course. Bear in mind that there are many ways to create a WordPress theme. This is one of them, right? For example, themes with more than one page are a little bit different, so we have to learn another techniques in order for create them, but it's very simple. And I think you won't stop here. If I were you, I won't stop, and I will keep learning more and more about WordPress because it's a world of new things to discover. The aim of this course here was for you to discover some of those tools and techniques in WordPress so that you have a taste of what is possible in WordPress. There are other interesting tools such as, for example, this customizer here, which is a very powerful tool in which you can, for example, create new sections here and then create new controls and use them to control how the theme behaves. WordPress is amazing, guys. But that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this course until now. If you have questions, of course, let me know, reach me out, and I will do my best to answer all of your queries, right? Thank you very much, and I see you guys in the next opportunity. Bye!